Good morning, my friends. How are you? Definitely need coffee this morning. I realize that this is a weird time for me to be live, and you may not get this notice right away. I'm checking to see if Facebook is going to tell you that I'm here. And I don't know if they are. So when you get notified that I'm here, let me know. It's not there yet. But anywho, the reason I wanted to go live today is I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the weekend. We're talking about maybe we're going to get tropical storms, maybe we're going to get rain, maybe we're not. But I wanted to do a little bit of Cricut with you this morning. So I thought I would do this before the day gets carried away. We have a lot of projects going on today. So I hope you have a lot of activities for you to do, or it can be a nice quiet weekend. All right, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to share there my design space. So now let's see what's happening. Ooh, it says I'm live. All right, cool. There. Cool. All right. First things first. If you have not been in Design Space for a while, it may look daunting, but today I want to talk about the text and what goes on when you're working with fonts. The cool part about it is they've done some of the things that we've been waiting for forever. I started teaching Cricut design space classes in 2014, and we've been asking since then for the offset option, and we have it. And it works so well. And now they're continuing to update the fonts. So there are some really good bonuses to what's happening now. So if you've not been in here for a bit, let's check it out. And really, if you've not been in here for a long time, hi, Gail. Yeah, if you haven't been in Design Space for a bit, you might want to think about joining the classroom so that you don't miss anything. There's classes in all kinds of varieties of using Design Space, but you want to understand Design Space before you get going and jumping into projects. My goal with you is always to help you understand and talk to your Cricut so your Cricut will do what you want, not what it wants. So you've invested all this money. I want you to understand how to get there. So let me just show you quick before we get into Design Space. No, you don't want that. This is where you're going to go. If you just click on karamiller.com, it's going to bring you to this. Again, where do I go? Well, there's a lot of white space. Oh, good. Now it tells you I'm live. Hey. So you're going to want to look at, if you have taken classes with me before, you're going to want to log in right here. And then all the classes that you've ever enrolled in will show up for you. And then you want to look at classes open for enrollment. And again, if it's been a bit since you've been in Design Space, you're probably going to want to start right here. This one walks you through from A to Z. But the good part about it is I did this different than I've done it before. Notice how they're all short little videos. Always in the past it would be like a 2-hour event, marathon, and you had to like watch the whole thing. Now these are little short videos that help you, what do I do about shapes? I can just watch that one, 11 minutes, and I can get it. It also gives you the whispers. I can't read screens and then talk too. Remember, my whispers are basically class notes. So that's where this one starts. If you're confident and you've been using Design Space and you don't need any more help, you are good to go, then you're ready to start with some of our project classes. And these are super fun. These are taught live in a Zoom, and you can see the date in all of them. It tells you when the Zoom is. So right now, if you go in there, it looks pretty empty. There's not much going in. You're going to come to the live class. There will be a live Zoom. There will be a handout. It will all be recorded. There is a list that tells you what you need. This one, everything is already here. So if you are a Cricut Joy person and you want to know what to do, you want a little bit of challenges, there are there's daily prompts in here. We did it for the whole month of January. And there's SVG files that I've created for you that help you create cards like this one in the picture. Lots of cool stuff, okay? All right, so there's an idea of what's going on in the classroom. Everything is here now. That's what's so great. You don't have to worry about where you're going to go or how you're going to get there. It's all in one spot. You just go to karamiller.com and there it is. My SVGs that I create for you are here too. So if you're looking for those, they're right there. All right, enough about that. Let's get back to the class, to Cricut. All right, so I have my picture here, but I realize that I am going to look down 90% of the time. So you're probably going to see the top of my head. I'll try and keep looking up. I'm also sitting up straight because if I don't, then you only see me like this. Okay. Let's go over here to text and click on that. Notice it's down low on the screen and you think, why is that? That's because as you type in, it's going to show up here. So let's just do Saturday. See where it pops up? So it's right up at your screen, but this is still below it. I can still edit it. If I realized I didn't spell it right, I can just back up. If I click off and I think, oh, now what? I spelled that wrong, or I want it to say Sunday, or I don't like that, I can just double click on it and it comes right back up. I am using the computer version. I'm on my desktop. We'll talk about how to use the app later. I suggest if it's been a bit, or if you have older eyes, using the desktop version of Design Space is much easier for you. There's more options in it. What I like to do is design and create in my desktop, save that project, and then if I'm going to do some cutting, I might use my phone and open up the app. All right? Okay. So, enough. I'm on the screen. So I've got Saturday. All right, great. I don't like the way that looks. I want something else. We'll look right up here. See where the font is? I'm going to click on this down arrow and look what happens. Now, because I moved it up, I can't see it. So leave it where Cricut would like it, and I click on this, and I can still see my word, right? So it's not tucked underneath. When you look up here, you can see it's kind of overwhelming. A couple of things. If you have subscribed to Access, again, just a little info before, I don't work for Cricut. I'm not a product expert any longer. I am an independent. I am me. So anything that I tell you is only based on my opinion, my knowledge, not necessarily someone told me I had to say it. So Cricut Access is awesome if you like the Cricut images. If you are going to use your Cricut a lot this week or this month to cut, then it's worth having Access. Access comes in a couple of options. You can do monthly, you can do yearly. Wendy Lee, can you use a tablet with your Cricut? You can use an iPad. There is an Android app as well. Now this is either with the Explorer, the Maker, or the Joy. It doesn't work with the older Expression or Baby Bug, the older Cricuts. So any Cricut that uses the Design Space software, there is an app for both iPhones or Androids. So yes, you can. Again, I like to design on my desktop so I can see everything. I'm not doing it with my fingers. I can use my mouse. It works better for me. But whatever you're more comfortable with. If you are only using iPads and that's all you ever use, you have the two. Then you should be fine. Yep. So go into, do you have an Android or an iPad? Awesome. It's really fun. Stay here, hang out. We'll get you caught up. Okay, so back to this. Notice it, the access. These little A's, that means that these are part of the access subscription. So that means if I've paid for my access, then those are available to me to use. I know it's always kind of daunting and you think, well, what does that mean? If I create a file and I have access and then next month I don't have it, does my file disappear? No, no, no. Your file's still there. The only thing you can't do is you can't cut it until you either pay for the font or rejoin access. But your file never goes anywhere. All right, so another option, so I can sort my fonts by system. Those are fonts that I've installed in my computer. So you may have different ones than I do. I use both a PC and a Mac here, and I use an iPad. And I will have different fonts in all of them. They don't necessarily all use the same ones. I often will decide to stick with just Cricut fonts. There's a couple of pluses to that. One, there's a huge variety now. The fonts that are under the Cricut category are ones that they have tested that work really well on this die-cut machine. Free fonts are awesome and they're fun and you can collect them and they're kind of like potato chips or chocolate bars. You'll notice I use potato chips a lot. Apparently I have an issue with those. Anywho, the reason I like to use Cricut fonts is they're designed to cut with my machine. They're going to cut well. They're not going to be funky. A lot of the fonts that you'll find that you download in various locations don't necessarily work for die-cut machines. They work great on a printer, they work great in a Word document, but they're not necessarily designed to be used in a cut situation. So check out your Cricut fonts. Then you see something that says only kerned fonts. Dear goodness, what does that mean? Every time I see that word kerned, it makes me think of kernel, makes me think of popcorn, but it's not. Kerning refers to the space between the letters. How many times if you put something in Design Space and you want to weld it together and the two first letters overlap and then the last ones just dangle off by them, they just don't work well? That has to do with the kerning, the space between the letters. So if you tell it only use kerned fonts, it's going to take all of the possible font options and sort it down to the ones that work well together so that when you try and weld them, they work out. Let me show you what I mean. So let's pick, I'm going to pick this one. When I click on it, it's going to change my words. Notice how it's all ready to hook together. Now it's not hooked together yet. If I cut this, let me see if I can show it to you. If I change the color, you'll see it better. Look what's going to happen if I cut this the way it is right now. See how this A, that's going to cut right there. So my letters are not, they look connected, but they're not going to cut connected. So how do I make them cut connected? First I'm going to go back so it's not ginormous. Still too big. Okay. How can I tell how big it is? I just said that and then you wondered, well, how do you know? When you click on it, your size comes right here and right here. It also comes up here. You will find Design Space has multiple places to show you what size something is. So again, let's change it to that yellow color and then you can see where the connections are. So a kerned font means they came together beautifully. They show up and they look like they want to be connected, but you still got to do one more thing. And that's click on it and click down here in the bottom at weld. Weld attaches them together. Don't use the word attach, Kara, that's confusing. I'll show you the difference between those two words. Weld connects it, makes it all one. Takes one letter and another letter and makes them into one. Attach is something totally different, and we cover that in class, but we'll talk about that another day. So we've now welded this. When this cuts out, it's going to cut out all in one piece except for the S. The S is going to stand alone. So if you are a paper crafter and you cut this out, you're going to have a great title, a great sentiment to add to your scrapbook layout or the front of your card. And you're going to need to run it through a Xyron. A little Xyron X, it would fit nicely. You're going to have to put your adhesive on the back, but it's all one piece. I don't have to line the letters up and make sure they're straight. So this is great if this is all I do. Let me show you what else you can do now. So, okay, I got it. I'm going to put this on the front of a card that is 5.5 inches wide. So this is great. I want to see how's it going to look on my card. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab a shape. And I'm going to make this shape be the size of my card. All right. So I just said my card was 5.5 inches wide. So I'm going to unlock this and I'm going to make this 5.5 and I'm going to make this 4.25. That's a basic size of a card front. I'm going to change it to something other than ugly black and make it pretty. But now I've covered up my title that I just did. Where is it? I need to move this back. So I'm going to come up to Arrange, Send to the back. Now my word is on it. How does that look on the front of my card? Looks pretty good. I like its size. I don't know why I'd want Saturday on a card. Maybe I'm celebrating Saturday. I don't know. We're just going to go with it. So we've got this. It's welded. And in order to attach it to the front of my card, I'm going to need to glue the whole back of it, right? Okay, I can do that, but it's kind of skinny. What if let's turn you off for a minute. What if I select this and I come up to, oh, we've waited so long for this. Hey, Lana. We've waited so long for offset. Oh, it's heaven. So click on that. What does offset do? Offset basically gives you a shadow layer, a layer behind your image, whatever you've selected, an image, a word, a phrase, whatever you've got, there it is. Look at that. That's what it's going to put behind it. Now that's a little big for me. I don't want quite that much of a cloud. So I'm going to make it a little smaller. And I'm going to shrink it down this way. Now it takes it a minute to respond because we're live here. So give it a second. It's gonna get smaller. So notice it's got actual numbers here. I can go in here and type in the number that I want if I know what I like. I like 0.05. Makes a really good shadow for me. I'm happy with that. Notice what it does. It connects all those letters together. So now, not only do I have it, I have the background layer to it. So let's say apply, and let me show you some things that we can do. Let's move this off so that you can see what you got. Some of the things that you can do, you could take this and you're going to cut both of them out and you're going to layer them, which makes it look so cool on your card, right? So now my card doesn't look quite so lonely because now it's got this great shadow behind it. I could use my pattern paper. I could use a contrasting cardstock. Super cool, right? The other thing that I like sometimes is I love the look of this font, but it's kind of thin. It's going to be a little wonky to cut out. My paper might not work as well. It might tear if I have a thicker, more fibrous paper. So what if I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to cut out that layer. And that's a chunkier layer, but it's going to cut out really easy. It's not going to give me a hard time. I've got one more thing to show you. Remember, Cricut can also cut and write. So turn this on, and let's change this to a color that we can see, a lighter color. Okay. And let's change this. So this is what it would do. I cut it out of yellow. I cut it out of orange. I glue the yellow down and I attach it to the orange, right? Process. What if I change this layer to a right layer? What? I'm going to draw it with a pen. Now this layer is going to look like this. The pen is going to draw all those lines that would have been cut before. So now let's put this on top of the shadow layer. Let's select, and we're going to make sure that we align it so that it's exactly in the middle where it belongs instead of just my eyeball. Let me show you if it was off a little. Right? Select those two, come up here to align and say center. Now it's there. All right, so I'm going to turn you off. Okay, so let's, oh, this looks great. Yeah, I got it. It's just what I want. Let's make it. So I send it over here to make it. And Cricut's going to think for a minute. Design Space is doing it. Well, now wait a minute. It's just writing on my mat. It's not writing on what I want it to write on. It's going to cut this and it's going to write that. No, that's not what I wanted. Well, then I have to be sure to talk Cricut so I tell it what I want. Come on back. So cancel this. That's wrong. That's not what we want. We want, okay, Cricut, we want you to write on top of Saturday. Now you can talk really slowly and tell it that. It's not going to get it. You're going to select it all. And here's where you're going to use attach. So you're going to say attach. Now, when I send this to the cut screen, look what happens. This is now a pen and a cut. It's going to do it all on the same page. Cricut's going to tell you to put the pen in your machine. Depending on the machine that you're using, it can do this both with all three. It can do it with the Joy, the Explorer, and the Maker. The Explorer and the Maker have two holders, so it will just tell you to make sure that you have a pen in the second holder. The Joy, you're going to need to replace your blade with a Joy pen, but it can do it. So now, instead of having to have this skinny little Saturday, I now have that written on top of a thicker one, and it's much easier, right? It's also a different look. I can do whatever color I want. I can do any fonts that I want. This works for everything. Cool. Well, thanks for having a little bit of coffee with me this morning. I wanted to share some of the cool things in Design Space with you. If you are liking what you see, you want to do more with Design Space, then you want to make sure that you are in our classroom. You want to head on over. It's super fun. There's lots of classes coming up. I'm trying to be able to show you where it is. So you want to go right there. Super easy. You want to be sure that you log in. It's free. And then pick the classes that suit you. I'm going to go head out. We have it's fun day in town. They're going to have a bouncy house and a dunk tank and all those things. Awesome. Good job, ladies. I plan to do lives on Monday nights, but apparently Henri is heading towards New England and I'm in Vermont. So we might be really wet on Monday, but if not, I'll be here. 8 o'clock Eastern, same spot. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy your family. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all soon.